Of how much jazz can I teach in 1 hour? Last time I only got to about 17 minutes. This time I'll try and get to, I don't know, around 30 minutes if I can, and then maybe there'll be a part 3 with a few additional bits and pieces. I'll start with some introduction music right now. Maybe you want to learn this song. It's called Masquinada. I'll also show you today some Ray Charles tunes, Hit the Road Jack and Mess Around. And we'll also look at the rest of the scales that we didn't look at last time, which is the modes of the minor scale. If you didn't see part 1, it was modes of the major scale and some chords. So, I'll do some music and then follow along as I teach you some more things. Okay, put the mic back. Okay, that's Masquinada. Very good tune. Recently learned that one. Here's another one. That's Ray Charles. That last one, by the way, before I move on, was in F minor, and that's the main groove, based on a blues tune, a blues riff, sorry, I should say. And that's a C7 with a sharp 5 and a sharp 9. It also goes to B flat over C, which is also sometimes called C sus. In the intro and the bass line. Okay, and that's basically the whole song, except for it does go to B flat minor, E flat, and back to F. There's also A flat major 6, E flat 7, but it uses a lot of the same chords. And then, as I was saying, the Ray Charles tune I wanted to look at was Hit the Road Jack in A minor. So we have A minor 7, A minor 7 starting on the 7, the G, then G major, F major, and E dominant 7. And it goes with a groove like this. That's E with a sharp 9, sharp 5. Not necessarily part of the song, I just did it for extra flavour. Same as in the Masquinada. Same chord on the C there. I just played it with on the E. We call that E altered. We call it E alt. It's a dominant 7 chord with a sharp 5 and a sharp 9. Very nice sound. And that's basically the whole song for Hit the Road Jack. You could do some blues solo. And yeah, so A blues. I throw some licks in. So that should be 2 songs in the bag. There's also the melody. And the other Ray Charles tune that I like is called Mess Around, which is in E flat, which has got a bass line. It's like almost a stride thing. This would be stride piano. Normally done with just the left hand. I'm cheating using both. And it's normally done quite fast like that. Cha. This isn't quite the same. It's just a stride kind of bass. So you're using the little finger and the thumb. And I'm using the little finger and the thumb to do octaves in E flat, which is almost like the 12-bar blues. But just octaves. A flat, E flat, and then the chord in the right hand, E flat 7, dominant 7. Let's do that again. And then you can talk about the pit, barbecue, the band was jumping, the people too, they're doing the mess around. I declare they're doing the mess around. Ah, see? That was where I messed up there. Doing the mess around. Everybody doing the mess around. And it's going to take you some practice to get that up to speed. But what I would suggest is to play them slow. And try not to swing, because it's not swung. This would be swung. See how it's more playful, but it's straight, so it's. Went out of time. That's quite a tough lick as well. That's second and third finger on F sharp and A sharp to G, and then I'm using 2 and 4 there to thumb, and then it's actually the same chord, but one note changes at the bottom. That's like E flat 7 with a 2 instead of a 3. Then E flat minor 7, and then E flat 7. Well, you can talk about the pit, barbecue, the band was jumping, the people too, they're doing the mess around. They're doing the mess around. They're doing the mess around. Everybody's doing the mess around. And occasionally I'll make slight mistakes with that bass line if I do it for too long. It's quite intense. So you have to be quite vigilant. You'll get away with the odd mistake, the odd note that's wrong, because it's fast. You can also start to play around with it. So give that a go. Anyway, back to the scales. Last time we did all of the major scales, or I should say the modes of the major scale. And today I'm going to look at the modes of the minor scale. So there are two minor scales to learn first and foremost, which is the melodic minor scale and the harmonic minor scale. The melodic minor scale is so it's just the major scale but with a minor third. That's C major. That's C melodic minor. And the harmonic minor is this. It's got a much more Egyptian and exotic sound to it. I prefer the harmonic minor. But let's start with the melodic minor and just work our way up the modes in C. So here is C melodic minor again. C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B, C. And then if you move it up to D, what would be the chord? So here's C minor. The chord would be this. D diminished, because this is the notes that we're going to be using. Same notes, but starting one tone above. And then, if we do the same thing again, E flat diminished. What a sound. Moving up again, we have F minor. F minor is the chord, but not the name of the scale. The names of the scales, if you would like to know, I have them up here. They are melodic minor, and then the second one is called Dorian flat 2, so that was on D. That's Dorian flat 2. Then the E flat, we call it Lydian sharp 5. Because Lydian would normally be this sound. But now we have so it's a little bit confusing to me actually, because we have the sharp 5, but we don't really have a Lydian sound anymore, which would normally be the A. So I don't know why they actually call it Lydian sharp 5. But nevertheless they do. So apologies for not knowing the exact reason why they named the scales thus. But then we have Lydian flat 7. And again, the Lydian would normally be so we still have that Lydian sound. So this one actually, the name makes sense because we still have that Lydian, the sharp 4. Then the next one is Mixolydian flat 6, which would be on G. Oops. Don't forget your A flat. Oh, don't forget your E flat. Love the sound of that one. Again, that's called Mixolydian flat 6. Then we have Locrian natural 2. Interesting. And then the last one would be starting on B. So it's kind of the same sound, but just starting on different notes, right? Same as with the major scale. That last one, by the way, altered dominant. And I remember that from my jazz degree. I remember the name of that scale. Again, I never really ended up using any of them. It's like when you learn maths at school and you never end up using it in later life. When did you ever use algebra again? But anyway, if you're on a jazz gig and you're a professional jazz musician, then it would come in handy, I guess. And that would be the chord, I guess, the B, D, F, B diminished. And you would have the flat 7 on top. Flat 7? No, flat 7. But you could also just leave that out and just play B diminished. But that would be the full chord. Great sound. Anyway, moving on. Those are the modes of the melodic minor scale. And then here's the modes of the harmonic scale. Harmonic minor scale. Sorry, those were actually the modes of the harmonic scale. Harmonic minor. Here's the modes of the melodic minor. And then F, G. It's just a B flat, you have to remember. And B flat. Ah, no B flat, B natural. And then we're back to the top. Easy as cake. So it's good to learn those. You've got your melodic minor scales. I just realized I was reading the melodic minor scales names as well, so those names weren't correct, but that's okay. The names are not necessarily that important. You have the modes of the harmonic minor scale, which, let's move the mic back over, were the harmonic minor, then the Locrian sharp 6. This is why the names didn't quite make sense to me. Then the Ionian sharp 5, and then etc, etc. It's too small for me to read. Phrygian dominant. So I never learnt the names. I learnt the scales, but not the names. And they do come in handy when you're improvising. If these wacky chords come up, you want to know what scales to play. But the main ones that you really need are from the major scale. The modes of the major scale, in my opinion, are much more useful and important. And the reason for that is because those chords come up all the time. Your standard dominant chords, your minor 7 chords. The diminished and the augmented chords come up very infrequently in most music. Again, I'm coming from the standpoint of being a function musician after I finished my degree. So I ended up just playing funk and soul and pop and blues and some rock. I didn't end up really playing in many jazz groups. I have done more recently. But again, even then, with most jazz standards, it's 2-5-1s, minor 7s, major 7s, and with episode 1, with those scales, you'd be laughing. You'd be fine. If you want to perform in a jazz band where you're writing your own music, or you're playing really advanced jazz music, then the modes of the minor scale would be more useful to you. But nevertheless, if you're interested and you're serious about learning jazz, those modes of the minor scale, the melodic minor, and the harmonic minor again, E flat, starting on E flat. And you want to do that in more than one key as well. So you'd want to then try and do that in starting on D, and then starting on E, and then starting on F, and etc, etc. And then do it on the flat notes. So start on D flat. D flat harmonic minor would be this. and then you'd start on the second note. So E flat, and then the next note was E, so So it's actually like doing a Sudoku or something. It's, you know, it tests your brain, and that's a good thing. So when you're studying jazz, it's good to write them out actually, or have them in a book. But I guess I've played them for you, so you can rewind, or you can slow down, and you can learn them from this video, and then start learning them in different keys. Once you've mastered them in C, always learn them in C first. And then I saw them posted on Google Images, but that was in A. So you could learn them in A as well. Here's A melodic minor. Remember, the melodic minor is just like the major scale, but with a minor third. Is the major scale. Is the melodic minor scale. It's just one note difference. And then the harmonic minor scale on A would be and you can work out the harmonic minor scales quite easily as well by looking at your keyboard and going, well, it's the first three notes of the minor scale, and then we go standard 4 and 5, but then we've got this turn at the end. So you play 1, 2, flat 3, 4 and 5 as normal, then you play flat 5, the major 7. That's your biggest turn there, so it's a step of a tone and a half, 3 semitones. That's that big jump. And as I say, once you've worked out what the harmonic minor scale is, if you want to know what your modes of the harmonic harmonic minor scale are in that key, you would just then play the same notes you just played, but starting on the next note. So B, and again, let's get those names right. So modes of the harmonic minor scale. Let's get those names right, except I can't read it. Okay, there we go. Harmonic minor, and then Locrian sharp 6, Ionian sharp 5, Dorian sharp 11, Phrygian dominant, Lydian sharp 2, and then Supralocrian is the final one. So if we were looking at Supralocrian, which would be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, starting on the 7. That would be A flat Supralocrian. Pretty cool. And I've never used that scale. Well, I might have done by accident, but it does sound pretty awesome. You could use it in composition. You could figure out what chord it goes with, which is most likely A flat diminished. And then, you know, where do I go from there? Well, you need to start looking at where those chords come up in jazz standards. And if you see A flat diminished, which you will see in some jazz tunes as a passing chord normally, then you know, well, actually I can use that in my improvisation. That's when it comes in useful. So you embed the scales, and then you start noticing which scales go with which chords, which we call chord scale relationships, and then you start implementing them in your improv. So that's where it gets fun and interesting.